When did the system fail you in the worst way possible? When my son was just 5 years old, he started deteriorating right in front of my face. And because he was diagnosed with autism, none of the doctors took him seriously. They all tried to convince me it was just another autism symptom. Like, what the F? Since when are stomach pain and fatigue symptoms of autism? The only one that supported me during this was my mother. Well, kinda. She was convinced that autism was a curable disease and something that could be eliminated with a good mindset. But still, when I told her about Charlie's symptoms, she seemed extremely worried. She started offering to babysit him more often and gave him holistic healing rituals, Turkish herbal tea, Kundalini yoga, body scan meditations. I never believed they would actually work, but they weren't harmful, so I let her do it anyway. Until one day he came home looking much worse than when I had first seen him that morning, and in his hand was this water bottle filled with what looked like black liquid. "Charlie, can you show me?" "No!" he yelled at the top of his lungs before running into his bedroom and slamming the door shut. You see, children with autism are very sensitive to unexpected demands, so their reaction is usually to shut down and enter into avoidance. Okay, no big deal, I thought to myself. I simply made a call to my mother to ask what was in the water bottle. Ha 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 ha, she laughed like it was the funniest thing in the world. I was baking Halloween cupcakes and Charlie insisted on stealing the black food coloring. He didn't stop until I let him put a few drops into his water. Looking back, I should have known no one laughs that hard at food coloring. But this was my mother, the person I trusted more than anything in the world. So I took her word for it, and actually found it somewhat endearing too. Over the next few days, I watched as Charlie's unexplained symptoms grew worse and worse. I would stay up all night trying to research what was going on. I started putting him on a 12-ingredient diet and upped our monthly grocery budget by $500 to make sure everything he was eating was completely healthy and wholesome. And after having a nightmare about Charlie passing away in his sleep, I started sleeping on a mattress on the floor of his bedroom every single night. And the entire time, my mother was aware of all this. In fact, she helped me pick out what to buy and even pitched in like 10% or something, enough to make me feel like she was supporting me. But every day, Charlie looked more and more like a cancer patient. I couldn't brush his hair without clumps of hair coming out. His skin became so pale, he looked like Edward Scissorhands. And the meal that was once his favorite, homemade chicken nuggets and pasta, he couldn't even eat more than one bite. In just a week, he had lost 15 pounds. And one night, it happened. He was in the middle of sipping on his water bottle when he went completely limp and collapsed back onto his bed. Luckily, I'm a pretty light sleeper, so I woke up straight away and dialed 911. His pulse was so weak that I could barely even feel it. His hands were ice cold and twitching. I kept him clutched in my arms, promising over and over that I'd never let him go. While Charlie was in the ICU, the first person to interview me was a social worker. She asked me things like, "Can you explain why you didn't take him to the doctor sooner?" Or, "Have you been covering for someone who's hurting your son?" Every word out of her mouth hit a nerve, because it just reminded me of the countless times I tried to look for help and got turned down. Luckily, a nurse noticed her BS and came over to ask me questions that were actually concerned with Charlie's health. I showed her all the photos I had taken of the ingredients I cook his food with, the symptoms tracker I kept on my phone, the brand of air purifier I use. Her eyebrows were furrowed so hard I thought they were about to fall off, because all of this just confused her even more. To lighten the mood, I joked about the black water obsession he had and how I wished he was as obsessed with that as he was with eating full meals. But instead of laughing, her face turned super serious. "Can you show me what you're talking about?" I always carried it around with me because it was Charlie's comfort item. She took the bottle away, and when she returned, there were tears in her eyes. "There's no black food coloring in it," she whispered. "It's activated charcoal, not the small amounts you find in toothpaste. This is an extremely dangerous amount." After talking more with the nurses and doing some digging, I found out that it was causing iron deficiency, calcium deficiency, magnesium deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency, and zinc deficiency. In short, my son was chronically malnourished. I instantly called my mother and asked her what the F she was thinking. "You should be thanking me," was the first thing she said. "Everyone in my holistic support Facebook group swears by activated charcoal. It heals autism, and what Charlie is going through right now are just autism withdrawal symptoms. You're effing welcome." I was seeing red. The rest of the full story is on my channel and linked below.